Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Wait, Are These Guys Friends? I am Mike, and I am here with Randy, and we are going to talk franchise fun. I just came up with that name. Is that a good title name for the episode?
I like it, yeah.
Okay, good. This, to your credit, this episode concept was your idea, so if you had a title coming in, please tell me. I don't want to co-opt your title.
I don't think I can improve upon franchise fun, so...
Ooh. You ready to dive into franchise fun?
Let's do it.
Franchise fun! I don't want to use more AI like we did in the early days, since I feel like the first couple months of the podcast, I used it a bit. Then I realized how truly terrible it was, and I stopped. But I really wish we had a front end for this. So, franchise fun!
Should we go over the parameters for franchise
please,
fun?
Please, you hit it. Again, this is your baby. You hit me.
So this, and... We found out as we just started to discuss this that we needed parameters because a lot of movie franchises cover a whole bunch of different time frames, and then there's retreads and remakes and all sorts of other things. So we decided that we're going to do 4 different movie franchises for decades, provided that the movie franchise starts in that decade. So if there is a movie franchise that starts in the 1980s, that is our 1980s selection, 90s. 2000s, 2010s. We're only halfway through the 2020s, so we didn't really attack that.
To that point, there are franchises that started in the 70s, like Star Wars and Alien, that are being left off this list entirely just by the nature of what we decided to do and the box we decided to put ourselves in, frankly. Rocky, fuck off. I thought I actually almost tried to
should have pushed back.
I was angling around, dancing around, trying to include Creed somehow, and I was like, that's cheating, because Rocky's in the first movie. You can't do it without Rocky.
I tell you what, we'll see where it goes, and if we continue to enjoy it, maybe we'll do an off-the-cuff 70s at the very end. How about
All right. Sounds good.
So with the parameters on this, we also gave a category to each of them. Mm-hmm. The best entry in the franchise, the worst entry in the franchise, the MVP, which I think we're going to end up kind of describing and defining.
I would say it's
ourselves.
The MVP of the franchise, right? It's who's the most important person in this franchise. It could be an actor, it could be a director, it could be a writer. Who is the one that made this? Who is the most important player that is, really bringing this together for you? It is personal, but like,
that's interesting. I may zig. I stuck one on characters specifically, but
I went real life people. Who is the MVP of the franchise?
Okay.
Interesting.
So we'll have, that's different interpretations. That's why we kind of set this thing up. And then the final kind of fun category is if you have an opportunity to recast a character from someone from any time frame. It does not need to be time date accurate to be someone. In the past, we've fantasy cast certain things, and it had to be people that were available to recast or to be cast at that point. All rules are off. We have time travel. We have people we can bring back from the dead, anything you want to do. But
I actually forgot that we'd agreed to that. I might think about one of my recasts because it was a little.
So with the one caveat being it has to be pretty much a primary character. You can't take somebody that was just, a one-off and say, oh, it'd be fun if this person did it. It has to be a relatively primary character. So having that laid out, did I forget anything, Mike?
No, I think you're in a good spot. Okay. Do you want to start and you hit me with your 80s franchise?
Sure.
Also, how do you want to do this? Do you want to do I tell me, I tell you, and then we ping pong our awards? Or are we doing all of you, all of me? How do you want to handle it?
Oh yeah, I like that ping pong. So I'll tell you mine, you tell me yours, and then we'll start with what I think the best in my 80s franchise, and then the best in your 80s franchise. That's a fun way to do it. So
sounds good. Go ahead and start us off.
I will start with. I went with, starting in 1981, the Indiana Jones franchise for the 1980s.
Oh, I was going to say, and what's good about that is it definitely ended in 1989. There were no other entries ever, and I wouldn't even think to begin to say what else
that doesn't help my worst cause, unfortunately. So.
It's literally called The Last Crusade. How could you do anything else? They were a perfect trilogy, end of story.
You add aliens and time travel, that's how you do it.
So it's an interesting thing, right? Because me, being a cliche of me, being whatever, you would think Back to the Future would be my pick. But honest to God, it's just that we have talked about that series of movies to fucking death. And don't want to
Candidly,
again.
why I stayed
So
away from it
yes,
again too.
like it's. I almost thought about telling you, like, can we just make sure neither of us picks this? You know we love it, but just can we please set it aside?
Sure.
So Ghostbusters isn't ever going to be my pick, and we've talked about that to death.
Okay.
Why? One perfect film, increasingly bad results after, including Ghostbusters 2. So like these top tier franchises that I feel like everyone was just going to go, well, obviously he's picking those.
Mm-hmm.
No, don't judge me like that. Fuck you. That wasn't to you. That was to the people. You know, the people
course.
that were nice enough to listen
Yes.
to this. So
I had a guess on what you're going to pick. I'll see if I'm right here, but
all right. Therefore, my 80s franchise of choice is A Nightmare on Elm Street.
that was correct.
That was it. Okay. Listen, it comes down to this, right? There was one every year starting in 1984. 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89. And then they still got one out in 91. And then they did another in 94. Then they did another in 2003. Then they did the shitty remake, I think, in 2007. 10. It was 10. 2010.
Yeah.
And it's
Jackie
just
Earle
like,
Haley, right?
yeah. So yeah, which we'll get to that in our recast. We'll talk about some issues I had there. But it is a franchise that to me defined the 80s in the sense that yes, you had action and spectacle, all this, but like, how do I say you're of an age? That's to say you're as old as I am. You're of an age to remember the cultural phenomenon of Freddy Krueger, masks and gloves and hotlines and weird TV shows. And like, I feel like people who didn't live through the end of the 80s into the mid 90s don't realize what a big fucking deal Freddy Krueger was for so long, with some pretty good movies too.
And a little more unique concept in horror, right? Like a big bad that was sort of unkillable, but in a different way that he could attack you, it was just a really inventive way to bring about someone that could destroy you.
The big thing that Freddy did was after 6 years, because Halloween in 1978, it had been 6 years of man stalking teenagers with knife, right? Even the best of them. You get your Friday the 13th sequels. You get that franchise developing. Texas Chainsaw starts getting some sequels based off the back of Friday the 13th and Halloween, but it still is now following not its original style formula. It's become more of the 80s line. Nightmare broke out the mold and went, listen, we're going to give you your slasher film, but this shit is going to get fucking nuts. So that's why I've always loved it. But I went off as to why I love and chose Nightmare. Why do you love and choose Indiana Jones?
Because, and it, not necessarily how I was introduced to it, although I just really enjoyed it as I started to watch it as a kid. But doing a deeper dive into it and realizing it brought back that old 40s and 50s kind of swashbuckling serials that were just a fun adventure. And the fact that you didn't have to have the most rigid hero that was just truth, justice, and all this other stuff. You had a guy who was a little bit more wisecracking, who wasn't afraid to take an easier way out to defeat somebody. I mean, the scene where he shoots the guy. I mean, right? Yeah. So I just, it was just, and it was wild from the beginning. Like, right, the opening scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark is just like, oh, here we go.
It's as iconic as anything else. It just locked it in.
And it keeps going, and it felt like it kept going throughout a large majority of all the movies, and just there was always great set pieces, even if the movies weren't as good as they
definitely 3 of the 5 are quite good.
There are good action set pieces in the other movies too. I will say that. Like I don't think the movies are that good, but the set piece with the Jeep and Crystal Skull is a lot of fun. The whole rest of that movie is a bunch of garbage.
Are you talking about the monkeys scene? No, you're talking about the city before the monkeys. Yeah. The cities one is great. That movie. Well, I won't get off the rails here. I really wanted to get. All I'll say is, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I get your point in the sense that it's actually really good for about 40 minutes. Then it just goes off. Like those first 40 minutes of Crystal Skull are quite good. A little bit. And then they just went. Anyway.
So my point was, it introduced to me, I think, that a movie could just be a lot of fun and you
Mhm.
could just watch it. And there were things that you had to sort of pay attention to, but it usually kept your attention so much just because as soon as something was discovered, someone else
Mhm.
was coming to try and kill Indy or something like that.
Fair
So
enough.
we just get so on we go, and just it kept you. It was great for people to watch that could be adults, but then like really brought kids back in, and it really felt like it brought back the whole movie going experience for that whole type of movie, and it brought it back into the forefront. And I just think it's awesome because of that, and they're still really fun. I mean, that's the coolest part about great movies is that even though it was made in 1980 with those kind of 1981 with those kind of effects, yeah, you could turn that on right now and still be riveted by it.
I mean, this is not anything new that anyone else talked about. There's nothing new we've talked about this.
Yep.
Practical effects just work. They like when you put the
When
money
done
into a
well, yep.
practical effect. Yeah, it's about the money as always.
Yep.
I mean, money and bad CGI versus good CGI,
And
but
and it can't go unstated is that you put John Williams there, bang.
yeah,
I mean,
yep.
we get dun dun dun
He can
dun.
bring
Like
up
that's all. I mean, I'm in. It's he has that ability to just
do
anything
you
he's
do
working with.
you know the dumb bit of music trivia regarding the Raiders March?
I don't. Please.
So do you have the dun 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 dun, dun and then you have like that interlude in the middle that's good, but it's like before it builds back up. You know what
Right.
I'm talking about? Those were the two different themes pitched to Steven Spielberg, and Steven Spielberg
Oh.
said, "Why don't you just put them together?" And John Williams was like, "Yeah, all right." And so they were pitched as two different theme songs, and John Williams went to Spielberg and was like, "I don't know which one of these works better." And Spielberg was like, "Smash them together!"
Why not both?
Yes, which I love. That's
You got
awesome.
chocolate in my peanut butter. So it's okay, so let's get into my awards for the Indiana Jones franchise. I'm going to start by the best entry in the franchise. And for me, and I think there's a couple arguments to be made, but for me, it's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Mm,
It is, and for reasons that I just kind of pointed out when I talked about why I love the franchise as much as I do, is that it hooks you from the very beginning. Um, there's great ancillary characters in addition to Indy. That's a perfect introduction to Indiana Jones, but then also you get to see the developments. There is a different kind of hero here where he hates, we get snakes, like we
mhm.
get into other things. We talked about the gun where he's fighting, and obviously that's an infamous scene where he was just sick, and that's why he didn't want to do that scene. They just found a better way out of it. But him being able to be built up. They're going against a common enemy. They really like to go against Nazis in this franchise, and
Everyone should, frankly. Everyone should.
absolutely.
By the way, I have more dumb trivia about that gun scene when you're done because I don't know math, but I read IMDb trivia.
Oh, there you go. And it's a begin. There's a definitive thing that they're going after. They're going against the bad guys. There is a damsel in distress who is beyond the damsel in distress, right? She is a badass in her own right, and Marion. And so there are all these great components that work going together. And then in the end, are you laughing at me?
I was going to try to keep it together until the end. I thought of a line which is deeply inappropriate, but also relates to the movie. You're talking about all the character traits of Marion and all this. And I was
Yeah.
like, was she underage when Indy fucked her? Because that is very much hinted at in the movie. Is Indiana Jones a pedophile?
Oh
That's,
boy.
I
Cool.
was
So this is gonna put me on an awesome light.
I was gonna try to keep it together
Yeah.
and I started laughing at my own dumb joke. I'm sorry.
This in any event, culminating in the great ending point where the Nazis get theirs. So
Mhm.
by
Do you
looking,
believe in the theory that that Indiana Jones had no bearing on the plot? Do you know what I'm talking about, that theory? So
I'm aware of it.
that for anyone uninitiated, they were always going to open the Ark. And then at the end, they open the Ark, and he's like, close your eyes, Marion, and all the Nazis die. That logically would have happened without Indy. But
mm.
so there's a theory of the movie didn't need to happen because they would have all died anyway. But I have thoughts on it. Do you have any thoughts on it?
The theory or just the movie?
No, like,
The
yeah, the theory. Like, do you buy into that thought? Do you have any alternate takes? I have one alternate take.
yes, from a, I guess, storytelling standpoint.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
But
Yeah, yeah.
would Marion be in the mix in that
No,
regard?
it would be the Nazis got the
Just
arc
the
and the
Nazis
story
get it.
never happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe the ending isn't really the same, and
My thought is
what happens
that
to it?
well, say that's the thing, right? Here's why I think Indy still needed to be involved is it winds up in the fucking big scary CIA warehouse at the end,
Right.
and there's nothing to say. Now, here's what I think if Indy hadn't been involved. All the Nazis die. The original set died just like they do in this. But then they
Right.
send another set, and maybe that set dies. But then they
Yep.
send a third or a fourth, and they go, we're bringing this back to Berlin to figure out what's going on. Now, that could have
Yeah.
gone one or two ways. They bring it right in front of Hitler, he opens it and dies. That's cool. Or they crack the code by bringing it back. So I think if nothing else, while that first set of Nazis would have always died regardless, it's good to have Indy get it back to stash in the warehouse.
We have ended World War III, 4, and 5.
Right.
So,
If nothing else, we needed Indy for the epilogue happy ending.
there we go. Thank you, Indiana Jones. We appreciate
Exactly.
that. So, I mean, and I can. That's kind of how I'm treating each of these, sort of treetopsing the why I like Raiders as much as I do, just because it's a wild, fun ride, and there's just lots going on.
Can I ask you a question? And this is something I thought about in my own franchises. So when I look at your franchise, my personal favorite movie is Last Crusade. I think it does everything the best, et cetera, et cetera. And when I think about it, I think it could live on its own. But could Last Crusade exist in a void without at least Raiders of the Lost Ark to set up Indy? Like, is he flushed out enough in Last Crusade for that to be a perfect standalone film, or does it have to exist only because the first one existed?
I don't know, because then I think it just becomes a different motivation for Indy, right? Like it all becomes about sort of not pleasing, but like following in his father's footsteps. Where given Raiders and even Temple of Doom, it feels like there's more just the adventuresome spirit within him, in addition to coming from like it. The vibe that I get from Last Crusade is he's trying to, do what his dad, get his dad's accolades or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I get from young Indy. And that also could be from the young Indiana Jones show that was on as well, like which was going on at the same time. So, but so I was it after? Yeah, okay. So, I think it's pretty close. Like I think it would be fine. I think we're still benefited by having the other two. I guess that's how I say it.
Yeah, well said. Well said. And I do think that. Yeah, you're right in the characterization because we know Indy, because we've seen what he's done, it does inform the humor with his dad of now it's not like a needy thing. He's doing impressive shit, and his dad's looking the other way like, wow, look at this book. Hey, are you okay? What'd you do? And he's like, Jesus, Dad, I just was fighting 5 Nazis. And it's not a father. It's like, pay attention. Your son's amazing. I get you.
I mean, again, I know we're getting into recasting later, but the casting is just impeccable in that movie. Like it's just Connery is just a stroke of genius for
we
that.
Can move down that line. Let's move to what's your worst one of these films? And I feel like I have, despite already joking about one of them, I have a deep guess that what your answer is going to be for your worst one.
Oh no, it's the one we talked about. I think Crystal Skull's the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Really, you like Dial of Destiny more than you like Crystal Skull?
Which isn't saying I liked it a lot. It just says I liked it more than the Crystal Skull because you brought it up already. It starts as a very promising movie and veers into nonsense and I can't get that far into it. You're
right. Dial of Destiny is a better.
It dials more back into archaeological type stuff where when we bring in planetary interstellar type stuff and then we bring in aliens, yes, that's technically anthropological things, right? Because it's civilizations that are worshiping these type of, but to me it felt more like, okay, we're using something from the 3rd century that Archimedes created. That felt more in line with the type of stuff that Indy was trying to maneuver through and find and solve in the first 3 movies. And so to me it made more sense and I liked that feel more of it.
Fair enough.
That's why. And I think, and I just, at the end of Crystal Skull, Kingdom of Crystal Skulls just kind of throws me off. So
What, with the wedding? Oh, you mean the actual plot?
not the
Wedding,
end,
yeah.
I guess. Yeah, whatever. With a half hour
That's
left.
actually why I like Crystal Skull a little more, is because, and one of my movies that I talk about later is going to hit this. It hits that fucking annoying trend Dial of Destiny does of modern requels, modern whatever legacy sequels. Why does every character that we knew and love have to have turned into a sad sack loser motherfucker? At the
Right.
end of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, at least he was happy and he had a family and he took his hat and there were more adventures to come and everything was great. And then Dial of Destiny fades up and it's like, it's all fucking terrible and it hates everything. And it's like, I'm really tired of all my characters being miserable.
Your son died in Vietnam. Great. It's
I mean, that's no loss. But Marion, my goodness, I wish she was around. But it's like, was Mutt even in? I haven't watched it since it came out. Was Mutt even in a photo in Dial of Destiny, or do they just go, "My son died," and they never even say his name?
They just reference it, yeah.
Because saying the name Mutt in that movie is wildly tonally wrong based on the two differences. He's like, "Your dog? No, my son, Mutt." What?
Right.
You're what? Did you what?
Oh God. So but I not much to say there. I mean, I think it's one of the two for anyone really in this regard. That's the first three are vastly superior to the final two, and you could argue that I think, like you said, it's a coin flip between Raiders and Last Crusade for the two best. I think they're both far better movies than Temple of Doom, which is far better than the last two. I think that's kind of how the ranking would go. But
I like Temple of Doom, but obviously being a prequel and also made in the, like, you're aware. Trivia for your franchises, because these are the things I know. You're aware of the mental state of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg when they made Temple of Doom and why that's such a viscerally angry movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were both getting divorced. Things were not going well for them. The movie reflects that in its attitudes towards women and people. Don't you worry.
The literal ripping of the heart out. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
my God. And then the only other dumb trivia thing I had is I was going to say, you know how you said Harrison Ford was sick the day they were going to do the whip fight and he shot him, blah, blah, blah. Are you aware of why Steven Spielberg never got sick on the set of Raiders?
No.
Steven Spielberg packed an entire suitcase of SpaghettiOs, and that's all he ate while they were on site. He ate canned SpaghettiOs the entire time they were overseas on site, and he is the only person who did not get sick.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's why he's a visionary. That is why the man is a visionary.
Oh, that's funny. So that being said, I'm gonna have to zig then on my MVP, just because I originally had it as Indiana Jones, just because I feel like you can't make this work without characters.
My bad. So I went real life, and you went character. We should have talked that through more. That's on me.
Yeah. But I think we can change it as we go. This is not things are not set in stone. So I think Steven Spielberg becomes my MVP for this. Like it is. I'm not a real big shocker there. Him being able to, again, bringing this type of film back and that mindset and getting kids into these type of movies, these like old school Saturday serial matinees, whatever you want to call them, and the parents remember these from when they were kids in the previous generation, and it continues to just thrive on because of his vision in what they're doing and practical effects. Everything that works in this movie is a result of what he's trying to put forth on the screen. So I just want to
double down on that. And there's no argument. This is a doubling down.
Yeah.
Because you always hear about how he developed this with George Lucas. But when you watch interviews, when you read articles, every good thing kind of came out of Spielberg going to Lucas and saying, we're not doing that. And like the general idea of a matinee idol and doing this B-movie thing came from Lucas, but then everything good after came from Spielberg fighting. I think of the interviews from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. There's a point, and I've seen this clip over and over, where Lucas was apparently fighting for aliens, and Spielberg is like, no, 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 no. And then there's this quote that I've seen a million times, and he goes, well, then George just went, well, what if instead of aliens, they're interdimensional beings? And I'll always, Spielberg just goes, fine, okay, fine. And I was like, well, that says a lot there. So, like,
one of the more annoying points of the franchise, and there we
Right,
go. So
exactly.
it's
Like every Lucas lost his touch in the 80s, and it's always been known. And like it just shows like everything good came from Spielberg.
So from a character standpoint, I tried to go other places, but you can't go anywhere other than India, I don't think.
Right.
But from the creative aspect and therefore bringing this every good touch to the screen, I think, yeah, it's
So-
Spielberg as my MVP.
So would you recast Indy or were you trying to recast somebody else?
I have two, which is sort of cheating, but I'll do my indie recasting because I feel like it needs to be a major character. Marion, I think she's in 3 of the movies, so I think I could get away with saying I'm recasting her, but I think it has to be indie. So, and you can feel free to jump on this, but I tried to think of somebody who could be plausible in sort of a wisecracking way. I don't want to just be Harrison Ford, but I was trying to think about the Indiana character versus just Hal Ford, which is hard to kind of differentiate the two.
Oh, yeah.
But my pick, I'm going to pick Andrew Garfield as Indiana Jones.
I actually don't hate that.
Okay.
Especially as he's gotten older.
I hold my breath on any of my recastings because you're usually
sorry.
not a big fan of mine.
Well,
so.
sometimes you make very bad choices. I revisited. Well, no,
I got 4. I got 3 more chances. Don't worry.
Oh boy. I like that 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I would not have liked that. But as he has aged and become a better actor and gotten even more charismatic, I think that's a really good shout.
Yeah, I think it would be fun where there's enough. We know that from Spider-Man stuff, he's good at stunt things. Like I think he would look believable in those type of things. So I think he could maneuver through that. My other one, and I'll just throw it in there, is that I was saying for Marion, I was thinking Tatiana Maslany, but I don't know how you
know who that is.
She-Hulk, Orphan Black.
Yeah, she'd been fine. Yeah, she'd been fine.
Which was kind of like, that's as I went through that, I was like, I need to come up with something for Indy because it's just to say this person for Marion. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So moving on back over to Nightmare on Elm Street. So, I mean, I actually just want to rip the Band-Aid off my MVP because how could it be anyone other than Robert Englund? You could even look at, you could talk Wes Craven, who did have involvement in 1, 3, 7, made some of the best films, his General Baby and Idea. You could talk Bob Shea, the head of New Line Cinema, who they called New Line Cinema the house that Freddy built, because the only reason we ever got the Lord of the Rings movies is because Freddy Krueger kept this fucking place in business, and Bob Shea ran that business. But unlike literally, I think, every other movie monster from 1970 until today, you can't do Freddy Krueger without Robert Englund. And they tried once, and it wasn't good. Like, you have to have him. He is the secret sauce. Apparently, they tried, for the second movie, they shot for a couple of days with a stuntman as Freddy before they were like, oh, this was the guy. Like, this was actually, this isn't Michael Myers. We're fucking this up. And then they got him back and never, he made that the bread and butter. It's how it is. You get to 3, which is the best of the bunch, and they start finding, he's the secret sauce, and it all coalesces into the right amount of horror and comedy, which is why I pivot right from saying Robert Englund is my MVP to saying Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, best of the business. I know we can't have as much of a back and forth here because you are not a horror person, and I know you have not, I think, seen any of these movies maybe outside the first, probably.
I've seen 1, 3, and New Nightmare. So.
Oh, well, so you've seen the Wes Craven ones that are considered the best ones. That's genuinely how that happened.
I really like New Nightmare, so it's just...
New Nightmare is fantastic. New Nightmare is proto-Scream because it was 2 years before Scream, and it was Wes Craven toying with those meta ideas before they came out. New Nightmare is on my short list, obviously. But I love 3 because it is the first one that played with the formula, because it is the first time they started fucking with they can fight back in the dream. Because the first 2 are, I'm in the dream world and I'm running around and it's Freddy's domain and I got to get him into the real world so I can even have a chance. Dream Warriors went, I'm a wizard because I'm dreaming. and I'm going to
Right.
fucking fry you with lightning. And I was like, okay, this is what you do. No, it often didn't work out well for those characters.
Yeah.
There was always some ironic twist on what they were trying to do, but it made it more exciting. And 3 is the one where that works the best because that was the first time they had that idea. So fighting back with the dreams was a great shout. As it went on, Freddy was like, oh, yeah, okay, you've tried that once. I got you now. 3 also starts the weird. So Nightmare on Elm Street 4 is the highest grossing nightmare film, the most popular nightmare, like best-selling nightmare film. But I actually said it only happens because of how good 3 was. And after 4, it fell off and was never as successful. 4 wasn't successful because 4 was the best thing ever. 4 was successful because 3 was amazing. So that's the way I sell that. But then by the time you get to 6, which is the worst of them, Nightmare on Elm Street 6, Freddy's Dead. Oh boy. There's a million reasons this movie doesn't work. They just did a trilogy of films, 3, 4, 5, that actually interconnected. They have recurring characters. It is a storyline. There's a through line throughout the films. And those movies were all making good money. They never made 4, but 3, 4, 5 did very well. 5 fell off enough from 4 that they're like, all right, we're going to end it. We're going to kill off Freddy. We're going to, do a finale, as all horror movies do. They always do their finale, and then 5 years later, they're back. So it's how it works. But 6 is awful because it's cheap effects, pure comedian Freddy with almost no horror. Like, there's a point where it just turned to where he was doing shtick, right? And he's not terrifying anymore. And the makeup, when you look at the best makeup in the movie is number 2, even though it's not one of the best movies, because it looks real burn and he's got the gooey and like it's just dripping with oozing burnt flesh. 6 is a rubber mask. It's like they went and bought the rubber masks that you can buy at the Halloween store. It's fucking terrible. Yeah. And it's also the one with the power glove where Freddy kills a guy in a shitty 8-bit video game and you see him with the power glove and I'm like, this movie is just awful. But recasting.
It's not even like good bad, right? Like
no, it's not.
Bad,
it's not even good bad. There's in a horror movie, you can have good bad where you're like, oh, I'm loving it anyway. This movie's bad. Bad kills, boring plot, annoying characters. Not even like, oh, I want to watch this and see this guy get killed. I'm like, this is boring as fuck.
Yeah.
There's a reason that they went crawling back to Wes Craven, as they often did after a critical and commercial failure, to go, please save our franchise again. So, recast. So obviously this one had a remake. They tried this in 2010.
Yep.
They recast, they did Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy, and they tried to do it as like a deathly serious remake. And boy, it lost something. He's not good or charismatic. He is emotionless and boring. And the problem about making your main villain, who has always carried a franchise, emotionless and boring, it becomes boring to watch.
Right.
So he's, I was trying to think of who is someone, if I were going to remake Nightmare now, that I want someone to have that right mix of charisma, but can be cold and awful, but also crack a joke, and it makes you smirk as a fan, even though you're scared for the person.
Yeah.
David Tennant. Because think Purple Man from Jessica Jones.
Sure, yeah.
If you mixed his Doctor Who with Purple Man, charismatic, dreamer, creative, who will fucking murder you. And now, to be fair, if you watch his Doctor, frankly, he probably would have murdered you anyway. For someone who preached nonviolence, that dude was killing people left and right. His Doctor was a big, I warned you guy. Hey, I didn't want to kill you. I told you to stop. Whoopsie doodles.
Yeah,
he was a big murderer.
Super brief. His character in Harry Potter also.
Yes,
like,
yes.
You can kind of see it there too.
Yep. That's a great shout. I forgot about that. So I think David Tennant would be a very fascinating.
Interesting.
And also, if they do the makeup right, you could still layer on the Freddy makeup and get his distinct skinny face features to make it look. I think he would play well into the makeup. I actually thought about that.
Tennant acts so well with his eyes that I think that can come through whatever they do to his face, right? So like
100%.
I think his voice and his eyes come through on that where it can be Yeah, but I love that. That would be I would be
The
interested to see something like that.
the one problem that we have here, and this is a joke but also deathly serious, is he would need to either do his American or British accents, because if they put him in the classic Freddy costume and then he talked in his Scottish accent, he is Groundskeeper Willie. He is Groundskeeper Willie. So if they put him in the sweater and they have him talking a Scottish accent,
Oh,
he's carrying around
fuck
his
it. Let's just do a Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace movie. I mean, I'm in.
I gotcha. I also now
San.
I am now dreamcasting also David Tennant as Groundskeeper Willie. He's got to buff
Ooh.
up a little bit. He's a little skinny, but we can make it happen. Oil me up, woman. Grease me up.
Now I really want a Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace movie. Okay.
You know what? By the way, I just thought of an idea for a future episode. Not that, but like we have to pitch a live action Simpsons spinoff. One character that you have to base a live action movie around.
Oh
We
boy.
have to cast it, we have to do a plot, and you're allowed, let's say, like 2 Simpsons characters, otherwise it could be in the movie, and that's it. Table that for another week, but I'm
All right.
dead in on that idea right
Put
now.
that on ice.
Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah. But I believe that covers the 80s.
Yep.
I chose Nightmare on Elm Street. You chose Indiana Jones franchise. And I believe that moves on to the 90s. You want to start or do you want me to start? I do not care.
You can start since I
All
started
right.
the last one.
So I will let you know, I didn't do this for all of the decades, but I did choose another horror franchise for the 90s. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mean to pick horror twice. I think there is something, though, that lends itself to that genre for pumping
Sure.
out films into a franchise. They're often lower budget. They can grind through actors, and you don't always need to have the whole cast. Like, horror lends itself to franchising, and you can see that over the years. Even nowadays, in a modern Marvel superhero-style universe, they just came out with Final Destination 7 came out last year, and it was the best one of the franchise. It was the best one to date. Final Destination Bloodlines, I talked about it a couple weeks ago. Fucking amazing. So that being said, these things can develop.
Okay.
But my 90s franchise, you stick with Wes Craven, and it's Scream. We talked about New Nightmare being a proto-Scream, and Scream is perfect. Whatever meta ideas he was having, he flushed them out. He worked with, I believe, Kevin Williamson, the screenwriter, and they got to what is still an all-time top perfect horror film that changed the genre, saved the genre, transformed how original Scream was is actually what ruined horror for the next decade. Because then every movie that had been a shitty slasher was trying to be a shitty Scream movie.
Right.
So, like, everyone had to have their quips and young teens. And it was like, some of those transcended, but a lot of those were very, very, very fucking bad. And it actually, something is changing the game when it makes an entire genre copy it for the next decade. And
it's the timing of it also has to come into play, because it's just that doesn't. I don't know what that looks like if someone comes up with that in 1989, right?
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Or
what
attitudes.
if that? What if that's not it? What if I Know What You Did Last Summer comes out before Scream, and just like, oh God, like what if something else? That's the thing. Yeah. What if something much less becomes the thing that everything gets copied, right? Like it comes at such a pivotal time to, like you said, resuscitate franchise the genre.
Yeah.
And then move it forward, and thank God for Scream, because it's such a good movie.
Months before Scream, they put out what is considered widely maybe the worst Halloween movie, number 6, Curse of Michael Myers. It is the absolute height of the worst of what a slasher had become, what horror had become, what things had evolved into, practically direct to video, even though it wasn't. It was that quality. And then months later, Scream. And it's just like, that's what we wanted. And
Halloween 6 is one of those that like it's not a good movie, but it can be really funny to watch. But it's because it's so terrible. It has nothing because of.
And you know what we owe it? We owe it Paul Rudd. It's his cinematic debut. So what can I say? Everyone starts somewhere. So I'll get into my awards after you tell me what your 90s franchise was.
Let's go completely on the other end of the spectrum. I'm going to go into the animated world, and I'm picking Toy Story.
As soon as you said I didn't even need you to say animated. You said other end of the spectrum, and I thought, oh, this is going to be a Pixar. Oh, it's good. I genuinely was like, this is going to be fucking Toy Story. Anyway, please continue.
But however, in a same kind of thing, this brought a completely different thing into the animated world. Things that we hadn't seen before. Disney had done some things where there would be quips or amusing anecdotes or little things that were kind of put in between plot lines and little throwaway things and funny sounding characters. But we'd never seen anything like this when Toy Story came out. It visually blew everybody away. I think it came out on Christmas, and just that, I remember going to see it, I think on Christmas in 1995, and in the theater, just hearing audible gasps at some of the animation, just like where people are just like, this looks like real life. Obviously, we have come a long way in our animation in that regard, but to see that much of a jump into what we were accustomed to with traditional 2D animation was just mind-boggling. And then Pixar did this great thing, and they were pretty consistent about it and have been great about it. They found the best voice actors for characters as opposed to the most famous person to voice a cartoon character. And this is an excellent example of that. And recasting was really hard because I had to think about Pixar hit a home run with almost all of them, and so how to go there. So, but Toy Story.
You mean like your favorite movie, Cars 2, where Mater is a secret agent?
It's right. All right, they're allowed one misstep in 40 or whatever, but it's there's been a couple other ones too, but it's by and large very, very high batting average. But it's interesting that you said what Scream did to horror, Toy Story did to animation.
You are 100%
it's really
right.
Cool there.
You are 100% right. I looked it up. I think it was Thanksgiving of that year, which is still.
Oh, was it? Okay. Yes, I saw it on Christmas. Sorry.
Makes sense.
That's what it was.
Really, why'd your family wait so long? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. I don't know. I'm sure. I mean, we all saw it at the same time.
Yep.
It was one of those things where, because it was a different era, I can tell you why. It was because no one knew what this was going to be. You know, this was, despite being a game-changing revolution, it could have died on the vine. This was a word of mouth. It doesn't seem like it to say this is a word of mouth film, but it's going to be one of those things where that first audience that saw it went back to their friends and went, this is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Then another audience went and said, that's one of the most astounding things I've ever seen. And it snowballed and snowballed. And just like we said with some of these others, it's such a wild thing to think about what we take for granted for these types of films now, because that was mind-blowing, and now it seems like nothing.
Yeah. And also, too, I think they got it right that this is a story, right? They actually got the story right.
Perhaps even a Toy Story.
Oh, I see what you did there. I don't know how they came up with the name, but...
I hate myself. It's okay.
A lot of animation at the time was just... I feel so bad when you do that. I hear it about a third of the time. I don't know if it's going to show up on the.
Well, I didn't do it right here. Let me go close.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, okay.
I'm going to say my dumb joke again. You could even say, and then you say what you said, where you kind of make fun of me a little. You can even say it's a Toy Story. Oh, I hate myself for that.
I don't know how they came up with it, but
is that better?
You got that in post, so it's I don't hear it at all. That's weird. No, I don't hear it. I don't.
Really? Wow. Okay. God damn. All right. Well, I'll add it in post, I guess. My obnoxious slide whistle sound. How was the ADR session? It was a 2-hour ADR session for the podcast. Whistle, 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 whistle.
Thump.
Anyway, continue.
Falling down on burlap sacks. So
this is a horse.
Right. No, but these were great stories that they had to tell. This was not just a here's a dumb character that is really a 20-minute kind of what could have been a cartoon TV show plot that got, fluffed up to make into a 80-minute movie. This had an actual story with heart and told with fleshed out characters, and that seemed to be a hallmark for how Pixar told their story. The animation looked amazing, the voice acting was great, but there's an actual story here that hooks everybody in.
Regarding those stories, what's the best one?
So for me, and I have said often when we've talked about all this type of stuff that I'm a big fan of the originator, the thing that started. I just did it with Raiders. However, Toy Story 2 is an incredible movie. And
I thought you were going to put that last. I really did.
Really?
Maybe
okay.
just above 4. Maybe just above 4.
I think, and it goes into my MVP, which is a character thing. So I going
Please.
back to it, I'm probably, but the MVP of this franchise for me is Buzz Lightyear. I think he makes you certainly could make it with Woody, and it appears kind of that Woody is one of the main people of it, but without Buzz as, his foil, not even a foil, but vying for the same attention of Andy, the new main thing. I don't know that Woody moves as far throughout the franchise as he does.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, I actually have always thought that what you had said is sort of the opposite in a good way. Woody has always been Buzz's foil, because Buzz, even in the first year, when first movie is Clueless, has always been nothing but a good person. Woody is the one who's had to overcome his issues. So Buzz is always just there being a good dude, and Woody's the fuckhead who's always had to be working through something.
And looking at it, from above, that is the overall part of it, but it's framed in the initial movie kind of as Woody's, way of life is being infringed upon by this new intruder. Toy Story 2 takes everything for me and brings it out even more so. Like we know sort of Buzz's backstory, and we still get some fun parts to it, but there's also, we get to see what Woody is beyond just being Andy's toy. And so I like the fact that it expanded upon it. I think it's a great villain with Al from Al's Toy Barn, and I enjoyed Toy Story 2 even more so than the original. And that's why I have it as the best.
And by the way, before we hit the worst, did you see the teaser trailer for Toy Story 5 that came out this week?
I did not. No, so I'm excited.
Do you want to pause and watch it before we continue, or is that not worth the time right now?
Sure. If we have,
it literally just came out a couple of days ago. Teaser trailer Toy Story 5.
Sure.
I don't mind waiting. Sorry for cutting you off. I got really excited on that point because I was actually into what you were saying, and I got too excited. I'm very sorry about it. Before we continue on, we just watched the teaser trailer for 5.
Yep.
It played really well until that very, very last shot where, why is Woody with Buzz in the bedroom again? That's what I want to know. Because how did that happen? With no Bo Peep, did they break up and he just rolled back in? Was their relationship too much? That said, I love the idea of while we do not need a Toy Story 5, and they are constantly playing with fire by continuing this franchise, because, boy, they had ended perfectly with 3, and then they did 4, which wasn't terrible. So I was like, let's not push your luck, boys. 4's fine. It's probably your least favorite. I'm going to take a stab.
To call it the worst is not fair, because it's not a bad movie, but it is the least effective in the franchise. So.
I actually feel the same way with my franchise. My choice for worst is relative. I don't think there's a bad Scream movie. So it is what it is. You have to pick something. Like if you look at your Indiana Joneses or your Nightmares, there are bad movies there. But here we're actually doing all right. But talk to me more about why 4 doesn't hit the benchmarks that the others do.
I think it's just they did such a great job of going through the entirety of Andy's childhood, adolescence, and moving on. And boy, and 3 gets you on such an emotional high, like not high, but it pulls. I mean, you want to talk about pulling your heart out. I mean, that moment when it looks like they're all gonna get burned up is still one of those moments where I can remember heart in my throat gasping like, are they really gonna do this? Like it just, and it was hard to move on from that point just because everything hit right. Like you said, it ended so well. And again, while not bad and some really fun stuff, I mean, um, I'm blanking on Key and Peele
Mm-hmm.
as is probably
Ducky
some of
and
my
Bunny.
favorites. Some of my favorite stuff from the whole movie, and even the stuff after. It's a great post credit scene type thing. Um, but it did feel a little added on, which
I,
is
I
going to
would like
happen. But that's how it felt.
I would like to read you a quote. By the way, this ties into what we were talking about with Indiana Jones and Crusade and stuff. This is one of those circumstances where, as perfect as 3 is, it can't exist without the other two. There would be no emotional stakes without the other two.
Sure.
So maybe it is a better movie and I love it, but you can't necessarily say it's the best because existing in a void, it wouldn't have any emotion, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that being said, I would like to read you a quote from one Mr. Quentin Tarantino about Toy Story 4.
All right.
In the case of Toy Story, the third one is just magnificent. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen. If you've seen the other two, it just becomes devastating. But the thing is, 3 or 4 years later or something, they've done a fourth. I have no desire to see it. You literally ended the story as perfectly as you could. So no, I don't even care if it's a good movie. I'm done. There you go.
It's fair, and everyone came back to see it, came back to because of the goodwill of what the 3 had built, and that's fine. And I think that's what'll happen with 5 for sure, is that everyone's going to give it that there will be some Quentin Tarantino takes on it to be like, no, I saw enough of the Toy Story that I wanted to see. But I would think by and large, a majority of the fans that really liked 1, 2, 3, and even like I said, I even liked 4. I just didn't like it as much as the other 3. Will come back for 5, and I'll be there probably opening night just because it's like I can't. I'm a Pixar fiend. I can't get enough of it.
Good stuff. Then in that case, I think the only thing left is who would you recast, and is it Mr. Potato Head because he's dead?
No. I had to recast Woody and Buzz. I'm kind of cheating here and doing 2, but I thought it was fun. So, I went back and just said, you know what? If Woody's a cowboy, John Wayne is Woody.
Let's have fun. So yes, you did break. You broke full space and time. So who would you get? Who's Buzz against John Wayne?
So, and I went back, because
you got to think about their interplay at that point too, right? You can't just cast a void. Tom Hanks and Tim Allen have a good working relationship and good voice chemistry.
So, and I'm gonna have to throw a little bit of that in the wind. I don't know if John Wayne would work well with other people in a voice acting role, but let's say for the fun of it. And I kept coming back to the movie A Few Good Men, and then you kind of compile that with 24. And I want Kiefer Sutherland to be my Buzz Lightyear.
That is not where I thought you were going to go, and I did not see that one thing. I feel like you just made the darkly serious Toy Story remake. Like, I can't see him having any whimsy in his voice or any fun. Don't you understand, Woody? I'm a space ranger, and Zurg's going to attack. Well, you got to understand, Pilgrim, that you're a toy. You're a toy, Pilgrim, and you have to come here, and you're here to work for Andy. I will fucking murder you if you ever call me a toy again. I have to get to Zurg.
Woody to Buzz. Who's on this line?
Who the fuck is it? Who the fuck is this? This is a private line. You gotta understand, Buzz, that we're getting there for Andy and we have to get back. Sid's gonna mess with us and blow us all up with his fireworks. I'd fucking let him if it just got you out of my face, you dumb motherfucker.
I think it would be more fun than maybe perfect casting, but that's my choice.
I actually want an R-rated Toy Story now. Not for any like depraved acts. I just want the toys to swear. I just want the toys to swear. And you know what? I want the same voice cast.
Star Command.
I want early 90s comedian Tim Allen, high on cocaine, dropping F-bombs. Fuck you, Woody. Fuck.
Falling with style.
Go fuck yourself. I got arrested in Detroit.
Nice. Yes.
That's Buzz.
Was
That's
it
Buzz.
Detroit?
Oh, I don't know. Was it Detroit?
Yeah.
I thought it was Detroit.
Grand Rapids, I think. So
Was
I
it?
don't know
Okay.
why. I don't know why I know that.
You know why I'm probably is I had a family member who they're doing very well now. I'll just say it. No one listen to this. It was my dad. My dad, when I was apparently 0 to 1, got busted for selling coke in Detroit. And I didn't know that until I was 23 because my dad is a garage door salesman who never, I didn't think had done anything in his life until I got into my late 20s and he started telling me about everything he'd done before I was born. And I'm just like, who are you? In 1976, he hitchhiked to California and back, and he talked to me about how he did peyote in the desert. Meanwhile, he's yelling at me about not cleaning my bedroom and the thermostat being up too high. And I'm like, what is this? Who are you?
Wow.
So anyway, sorry, that was a aside. That's why I think I thought
maybe
it was
your
Detroit.
dad can voice Buzz Lightyear.
Honest God, he'd be great. He'd be fantastic. Although if he doesn't like it, he would say, this is an aside, do you ever have your parents' tells for when they didn't like something? Like, they wouldn't say they didn't like something, but you knew they didn't like something? Or were your parents just honest?
No. They usually covered it.
My dad's tell was saying it's different. Hey, Dad, I do this thing, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's different. It was like, oh, it means he hates it.
Mine was usually, I didn't think about it that way.
There it is.
I got that. Subtext, that's wrong. Why would you think of that? But
exactly. I didn't think about it that way, and you shouldn't have either. I believe that.
Let's get into yours. Give me some Scream categories.
So, honest to God, it's like you said. The best film is often the first one, and this time it is. I adore all of these movies, but because of the meta nature of Scream, they literally can't exist without the first one in their own universe. Like, everything that happens in every sequel up through Scream 6, which is the last one that's currently been released, is based off the trauma, the circumstances, the things in that universe that happened from the first movie. They can't exist. And also, it's a perfect horror film. Everything about it is great. The twists, the turns, the comedy, the horror, the atmosphere. It is scary. It is funny. It is witty. It is dark. It is great. But throughout all of those films, throughout the first 5, I'm going to give a spoiler alert right now for the Scream franchise. If for some reason you've not dove into it and you don't want to be spoiled on a few deaths, this is your moment to skip to the next category. There will be time codes in the description. He's not in the 6th one because he fucking died in the 5th one. But David Arquette as Dewey the character, David Arquette the actor, he is the MVP of this franchise. He's the heart and soul of this franchise.
Interesting.
He is the character that came back from everything and seemingly died in 3 movies, then finally died in the 5th one. And that's why it hurt so much. Because Dewey had survived everything. The shit he was being put through. And you got to see this character in every iteration go from being just out of high school to being like a washed up divorcee. And like, it's the journey you were on with this character. You saw him grow up and you saw his life. And you've seen that with all of them, but you spent the most time with Dewey. Because even Neve Campbell's Sydney, because of contractual reasons off and on, she's not in 3 very much. She's not in 5 very much. She's not, she comes in and out. She's main or whatever. She's not even in 6 at all. But Gail is, and she's got the tie to Dewey. And like, Dewey and David Arquette is the through line, the heart, the beating heart of this franchise. And so when they rip that out, it hurts more than any other death you've had in the entire franchise. And
you wouldn't go just like the concept of Ghostface, or is that because there's too many people that are?
It could be anybody. It's a concept, and it changes. The motivations change. I mean, you could say maybe Roger L. Jackson, the voice of Ghostface, because that's not a computer character. That's a real dude. They just throw a little modulation on his voice. Roger L. Jackson is pivotal, but I wouldn't want to watch a scary voice without characters I care about. And there's a reason in the requel era of 5, because remember, each Scream, that's what's so beautiful about this franchise. 1 reinvigorated, 2 talked sequels, 3 talked franchises, 4 talked torture porn and the evolution of horror, 5 was legacy sequels and reboots, 6 was all the rules are off because we're in a new trilogy. And like everything carries on and everything works, and it's so perfect. I am really nervous about 7 because I don't know if you're aware of the behind the scenes issues with 7. So Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, who had become set up as the new leads in Scream 5 and we're in 6. 6 doesn't have Neve Campbell at all, and it's great. I love Scream 6. They brought back Courtney Cox as Gail, and she survives, and it's a great through line, but no Sydney, and that's fine because they have these new leads. Without getting too into politics, early on in some of the recent doings with Israel, Gaza, within the last few years, Melissa Barrera spoke out and spoke pro-Palestine. She got fired early on for her views. And I feel like those views throughout the industry and throughout the world have evolved since that point, where I don't think she would have been fired now, but they did. And Jenna Ortega quit, and the director quit, and all these people quit because they fired her. And so they drove a dump truck of money up to Kevin Williamson to write and direct again, and to Neve Campbell to come back to star again. And they're talking about, oh, it's back to Scream, and Nev's back, and we're doing so great. And I'm like, do you remember the movie you were already making? You were making a movie without her, and it was planned to be a part of this ongoing thing you're already doing. She wasn't in 6. We were moving on, and you guys fucked that up. So while at this point, through 6 movies, I say there has never been an outright bad Scream, I'm nervous about Scream 7.
Okay.
So, but that said, of the existing 6, the worst one is 4. It has the weirdest length of time, I think, between. You went 2003 to 2011, and then 2011 Scream 4 to 2019 Scream 5. Okay. It is the last one directed by Wes Craven. It's sort of an anomaly. It's not a reboot, but it almost wants to be. It's trying different genres. Horror had evolved, and horror for years had been adapting and making fun of or pastiching Scream. So when it became torture porn and this visceral, angry type of torture porn, not just porn, that Saw and Cabin Fever and those types of movies were doing, Scream felt like it could be relevant in that moment to make again, and it did a good movie, but it just didn't hit all the beats that maybe some of the other ones, that it wasn't as good. Also, I'm just going to toss it out there, and I'm not saying this should matter, it's the only movie in the franchise without the song Red Right Hand in it. It's it's like, I'm not saying that's why the movie's whatever, but they were missing beats and tone and certain things that, while it's a good movie, doesn't feel as part of the franchise as others. For my recast, I hope, because you said you've been cheating on a couple, you will allow me a cheat on this. Of
course.
Because I was nervous about this. I wrote this down to try to get the wording exactly right.
All right.
And I wrote this word I'm about to say down because I think it's the perfect choice for it. I think it would behoove Scream's meta nature to get one of the original actors to play the same character in a remake, but address it as being different or in a different universe or different somehow. Like the meta nature of a Scream film, bring back David Arquette, but it's not original Dewey, or it's something else, but it is commented on, or maybe even not openly commented on. It is something subtle or aware that the audience is placing because of the nature of the film. Right? It is the nature of Scream is to play with film and tropes and genres at the time. And I can't get past the idea that the best way Scream would probably do that is to bring back an original actor to fuck with the audience. So that's why I stay with that one.
Okay.
I hope that's passable.
I like that. It's you're recasting, you're adding.
Right, because he's not coming back to just be, if you brought David Arquette back, he's not doing Dewey again, right? It's not the same Dewey, it's not the same thing. There would be a spin, a twist, a something. They might even say it's Dewey, and it would be some other thing, because that's the nature of the franchise. And I think that's how you get through that, and you do that with people. And people would see the trailers and be like, "That David Arquette? I thought we were doing something else." Blah blah blah. And it would start this whole discussion. But there's the 90s.
Okay.
We're through the 90s, baby.
All right.
Into the 2000s. You want to hit yours? I'll hit mine. Same deal?
Sure.
Wait. I did mine, then you did yours, then you did your awards, and I did mine. Let's keep the pattern, baby. Let's keep the pattern. I'm going.
So, I mean, you go, right? Okay,
yes.
Yeah, go for it.
So 2000s franchise, obviously I've hit were in 80s, 90s, and clearly in the 2000s, Final Destination. No, I'm just kidding. It's that being said, as I've said, it is a perfect, amazing franchise of 7 films. It started in the year 2001, so it would have been a right call. However, I was having issues with the 2000s. I had even more with the 2010s. We'll get there.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just because you watch less movies. Maybe because I'm looking at less things. But I was looking at the 2000s. Final Destination. Harry Potter has a strong contender. Harry Potter was really close, but I have J.K. Rowling issues aside. I have major issues with a lot of those films. I have never been as enamored with those films as everybody else. I've never, gotten into them like everyone else. We've talked about Lord of the Rings, which is just probably almost the definitive 2000s franchise trilogy. I'm not enamored with that either. I'm not a Lord of the Rings guy.
There's a bunch of them too. Yeah, because it keeps goes into the Hobbit too. So.
Yeah, which those are just bad. For much as I don't really like Lord of the Rings, I recognize what achievements they are. Sure. The Hobbit movies just suck. For all its ups and downs, and because we owe so much to it, and it's got more good than bad, even just barely, the X-Men movies. The very first one came out in 2000, up through 2019, but you had movies in, 2000, 2003, 2006, and onwards and upwards. They got us Spider-Man. Blade got us X-Men, kind of, but the smash of X-Men got us Spider-Man, and Spider-Man went hard for everything else, right?
Right.
We owe these movies. If you like a modern superhero movie, if you like superhero movies, you owe the X-Men movies. You owe them a debt, is what you owe them. There's more good than bad, but boy, I made a list. We'll get into it. It's fucking close. It's almost an even keel. But I'll hit my awards. I'll go into details after you tell me your 2000s franchise.
I'm glad you didn't go further into that in your intro because I was going to be like, oh, this is going to be fun because I picked Harry Potter. So, and I am of the opposite, not opposite, but different mindset. I was also, did you read the books? Did you like the books?
I adored the books. Quick question.
Okay, gotcha, yeah.
Before we were recording, you were worried about if we picked the same one. Is this the one you were circling? If that were to come up?
It was this or Indiana Jones because I wasn't sure. So because I was pretty sure you were going away from Back to the Future. But
on my bookcase, before we continue on your movies, I have always done almost like a hierarchy of what matters most to me down to bottom shelf, which matters less and is out of my view. I read those books multiple times. I loved them. I adored them. I obviously have had some emotional issues with them in the last few years, trying to separate art from artist.
Sure.
To where I have not read them in at least 5 to 6 years, and they're now on my bottom shelf out of view. Okay. I have trouble reconciling art from artist at this point with her. And
understood.
And then I had individual issues with the movies well before she was problematic. But that's where I'm at with Harry Potter. But I adored the books. I loved them. I was, Deathly Hallows opening night. It's midnight. I need to get that book like it's a video game opening, tear through it. I was one of those people. I'm with you.
Yep.
But please continue.
Well, I think for me, it became an extension of adoring the books. And I was concerned that from a visual standpoint, they weren't going to be able to make it look as amazing as they did. And so I think visually it is an achievement to make this all work, to continue to have me at least care about the characters. I thought I think by and large casting home run across the board. They stuck with they didn't try to redo something other than obviously Dumbledore because of the actor dying. I mean, that's
and I stand by. I like original Dumbledore more than I liked second Dumbledore. Original was so much better.
Based on
you've seen the viral stuff about the Goblet of Fire. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
like his reaction to Harry and the Goblet of Fire versus they have Jim Dale reading the audiobook version and they show his scene in the movie. We can get into it in a minute when we get there, but I will say I think original Dumbledore would have handled that scene as it was in the book. There would have been a calmness, a steadiness. Michael Gambon never super did it for me as second Dumbledore. But please continue.
Yeah, there was a little bit more of, I don't know, something simmering underneath, which was hinted at but never really showcased, right, in the books.
Right.
Like that's part of it. So
I actually think that was part of why Dumbledore in the books could actually be so frustrating, is he didn't give you anything, but you knew he was hiding something.
mm-hmm.
Dumbledore in the movies, you knew he was hiding something and he wore it on his fucking sleeve.
Right.
Yeah.
Always with that look, that
Mm-hmm.
certain look. So and perhaps it's just because it has been oversaturated where it's always on somewhere. And it happens to be something I continue to watch, and so there are parts that I just really enjoy. There are a couple missteps along the way, but I think by and large the entire franchise I've enjoyed getting a chance to see come to screen, where there isn't everything that has ever been written, obviously, that I can say that about. And that's why I picked that one.
Well, let's dive into your awards first, and we'll come back to
Okay.
mine. So that being said, what's your best entry in these films? And I have to say, I'd be stunned if you say the first one on this one, personally.
Oh yeah, no, it was close to my worst, honestly. So, but the not that it wasn't good, and I think part of it, this is beholden to what the best story is, right? And so this is a developing story. Then the first one needed to introduce everything. In my opinion, the best book is Goblet of Fire, and in my opinion, the best movie is Goblet of Fire, because everything cool is happening in it. In my opinion, there's this big wizard tournament. This is where Voldemort comes back into power. This is everything that kind of resets the stakes for the rest of what we're going against. And I think it hits all the high notes for visually. Already thought of Goblet of Fire was the best story in the whole series, and I thought they did the best job bringing the best story to film, and that's why I love Goblet of Fire.
I have very few notes on that one, man. Goblet of Fire probably is the best movie. I maybe could go Order of the Phoenix, maybe, but the only issue I have with Goblet of Fire is it's the one movie where they all, for some reason, have really weird long hair because they're growing up
Right.
and they're being teenagers. And it's the only movie where they don't look like themselves versus any other movie. And that takes me out of it every time I watch it. Like,
That's true.
Harry, what's up with the fucking like pseudo mullet thing you got going on? You all right? You going through something, Harry?
Yeah, man.
But I think my favorite book was always Prisoner of Azkaban. And it's one of my least favorite movies because everyone talks about how great that movie is and how artistic it is and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you motherfuckers never read the book because they chopped that movie to fucking pieces. The way they arranged that movie, I was so angry at the end of Prisoner of Azkaban when the last scene is him getting the broom, which was an entire subplot about, is the broom cursed? Is it a thing? And then they end with a weird freeze frame of him riding off on it like it's an 80s sitcom.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all like this? You're saying this is the best one? Is it just because it came out after 2, which isn't that great? Because does it hold up? Because this movie isn't that good. But you're right. I think, question for you.
Yeah.
Does Goblet of Fire get the best adaptation and best film? Because frankly, it might be the most straightforward to adapt. It's here's 3 set pieces, here's a tournament, here's an ending. There's not a lot of zigzagging around. It's very straightforward.
There's also the ancillary in the book Goblet of Fire was very easy to trim cinematically. I think that's another part of it too. Like, not that, when was the spew stuff? The Hermione with
that was 5, I think.
5, and that's another. I didn't really care that they cut that out because it was just like, it was a lot of padding, but everything, you got the gist of the book. That was the one that I felt truest to. Okay, there wasn't a lot that I had to, like, my wife never read the books, but every time we watched a movie, she would ask me about certain stuff, say, what didn't this get in? Who was that person? And I said, oh, well, you had to kind of be told on this. This did a nice job of leading you the whole way through, because really it is. It's like Harry gets entered into the tournament. some way, which he doesn't know.
Oh,
He
real
has
quick,
to.
I'd like to pause. I'm going
Oh,
to hit with
spoiler
the.
alert.
No, 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 no. I don't give a
Oh,
shit
okay.
about that. Now's the time. I was going to wait. Here's what we were talking about regarding the Dumbledore performances. If you were to read the book or listen to the audiobook, which, by the way, if you've never heard Jim Dale, the guy who does the Harry Potter audiobooks, I want that man to narrate my life. That is just so good.
Yeah.
But it's like, and then Dumbledore approached Harry, and he had a caution, and he was like, Harry, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? And then he's like, no, sir. Meanwhile, in the movies, Harry, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? Harry! Harry, did you put your name in the goblet?
Grabs him by his collar. It's
Yeah,
like, come on.
What the fuck? Is he about to body slam him? So,
Yeah.
Anyway, please continue.
That's the straightforward, conflict point. Harry has to make his way through these 3 different challenges and then the final part. And it's being helped by Bad Eye Moody, who's kind of hey, what's this guy all about? Even though he seems to be helping. I mean, Harry gets help from people constantly throughout the series, but it turns out to being the very end of it saying, okay, this is the showdown or the rebirth of the most evil thing.
I liked the first 3 enough. I had issues with 3, obviously, as I've said. 1 and 2 were fine, whimsical. 1, quite good because it's setting tone. It's creating the little kids. 4 was the first one where I felt it. Like when Voldemort shows up and the tone has changed. Not just the tone of the film visually, but like the tone of the characters, the tone of the fear, the tone. I'm like, I remember watching that and the tone changed. And I hadn't felt that kind of feeling watching any of those movies yet. And I was like, ooh.
It's that you can think of that when they're in the graveyard and he becomes fully formed and he's just holding kind of his head in his hands to be like, I am whole once again. And it's like, you just feel a shiver because you're like, oh shit, this is bad.
Minus the nose. You're whole once again. Where the fuck's the nose there, buddy?
Right. Well,
snake.
You
fuck up the incantation. You're like, oh God, I knew I forgot a word. Nosiest.
Wormtail, you idiot.
No. And oh God, sorry, there was a nosiest therius. Oh, too late. It's already finished. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I have a slight lisp. I can't help it.
So what's the worst movie?
Worst movie for me is Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. It's filler. It's filler.
Yeah, it gives you the minor introduction of Tom Riddle, but it's one of the weaker books too. So I mean, it's probably not that surprising that you're just trying to get to the next part where we can start to introduce Sirius Black and really start to get moving, because 3, 4, 5 is really the amp up things as we get to the kind of final battle type part of things. But I don't have a lot to say about it.
There's not much. That's why it's the worst. And I'll handle your MVP for you, because Randy has been saying off air that everything J.K. Rowling does is right and everything she says is appropriate, and that is why she is his MVP of the franchise. Is that not what you were going to pick? That is not who you were going to pick. Oh, please continue then. My bad.
I don't. Yeah. No.
I can cut that out if you want, or I can blow it up and make you full and have your mouth move and say the words.
Great. Hooray AI.
It wouldn't be AI. It would be the worst effect. It would be the worst. I would put a circle cutout mask. It would be my mouth, like 90s Conan.
Is this what's the Simpsons where Mr. Simpson, you from the Venus Gummy to Milo?
Yes. Mr. Simpson, no.
Sorry, my MVP is the worst part of the whole series, but it's Voldemort. I mean, he holds this whole thing together, and maybe more specifically, Ralph Fiennes does an incredible job being a terrifying and awful, evil incarnate, but is the whole thing. He has to come back for things to really matter, and then has to be defeated to continue, to save the entire world. So like while Harry needs to do it, he's nothing without Voldemort creates him, essentially, Voldemort, returns because of him, because of part of what they've done from
Yep.
bringing him back with his followers. And then Harry, he needs to be defeated for everything to be right with the world. So, I mean, I think that's my MVP. Was Snape a close second, but Voldemort, I think, is just, he's a force.
I don't have any issues there. I have nothing, because you're right in that it really couldn't be anyone other than Voldemort and Snape, because even if you went real world and you went Daniel Radcliffe versus Harry,
Yeah.
he's such a good actor, and he got better as the franchise went on. But the dude was 10 when it started. He doesn't have. You could have almost slipped any child into. No, it wound up being perfect casting, but you get my meaning of it. He wasn't as pivotal there. And I'm curious where you're going to go with recasting, because they're doing that right now. They're famously announcing recasts. They are, Nick Frost is going to be Hagrid. John Lithgow is going to be Dumbledore. What are you feeling? Because do you got something you could tell them, listen, don't film it yet. Reshoot this, because I got one for you.
No, because I think they're both too old to make it work. So unfortunately, but they're both still alive. And it's a little bit controversial is the wrong word. Just because Alan Rickman was so amazing as Snape, that it's difficult to see someone else. I'm interested to see Michael Caine as Severus Snape.
Processing. I could see that. The only part I hesitate on,
I don't know if there's enough simmer to it, but
see, I was going to go the other way. I don't know if there's enough warmth hiding underneath the surface. Because as much as he was always cold, Alan Rickman as Snape had sad eyes that just showed that little bit of heart underneath, and I'm not seeing that from Michael Caine. But he's also a good actor. Maybe I just haven't seen him in the right stuff to process that all coming together.
Yeah, and I was kind of, because I thought about like Cider House Rules and sort of thinking like Batman, that kind of more warmth to it. But and then the other choice again, you're right. Two for these. Just because I'd be interested to see Ian McKellen as Dumbledore.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah, it'd be cool. So I got no issues there.
I think that's kind of similar to there's probably 4 or 5 different actors that you could say could fit in there. I think that would be interesting. So, but
I'll buy that.
That's 100%. What I got.
I got no issues.
Oh, wow.
Pivoting over to the X-Men, where I do have a few issues. So before I hit you with my best film, I had mentioned for ups and downs, there was more good than bad. And there are, hang on, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. If we include Deadpool and Wolverine, even though it's MCU, and I'm gonna, because it had the continuity of the other movies, it has Hugh Jackman. I'm going to say there were 14 cinematically released X-Men movies.
Okay.
If we include New Mutants, which I actually never saw, but I hear was fucking terrible. They released it on Hulu, but it was shot to be theaters. It was lost in the shuffle of the Disney Fox deal. So it was going to be in the theaters, and it was, by all accounts, not great. I've seen some clips. I wasn't enamored with it.
I didn't even know it was a thing, I'll be honest.
Exactly. But let's look at, let's see, hang on one more time. I'm going to add it up again. So that's 14.
Good.
It's, with 14 movies, I said that there were 9 good, and that would be, I just did math. 9 good, 5 bad. No, wait. Yes. So that's not a great ratio, right?
No.
You're just skipping past the halfway mark. So,
and your good is like you draw a line in the sand, right? Like it's not. You're saying it wasn't bad or it wasn't good. That's what defines bad and good. So
the only one I wrote in parentheses, fine, really, is halfway through the list, and I decided to tip it to good because I do think it's fine, and the bad is real bad. So I'll tell you when we get to that.
All right. Gotcha.
X1, X-Men good, X2 good, X3 bad, Origins bad, First Class good. Here's The Wolverine, the second solo Wolverine movie, good, but fine. All things considered, it was fine.
The Japan one? Is that the Wolverine?
Yeah. That's exactly the one. Days of Future Past, good. Apocalypse, bad. Deadpool, good. Logan, good. Deadpool 2, good. Dark Phoenix bad, New Mutants bad, Deadpool and Wolverine good. So
Just never got the
yeah.
Phoenix Saga right.
Yeah, they really didn't. And what you know what I never fucking understood is they tank X3 with the Phoenix Saga, right? And everyone puts it on Brett Ratner for directing. But a guy named Simon Kinberg wrote it. They hired him to write and direct Dark Phoenix. And like
what of X3 would make you think
they put it on Brett Ratner?
Out?
He was giving interviews like, we're going to do the Phoenix Saga right this time. Blah, blah. I was like, you wrote it the first time. You can't put all that on him. You wrote that fucking movie. And then the second one the new one comes out and it's as bad or worse. And he's like, oh, I just don't know what happened. It's like, I fucking know. Yeah. You hired that guy to write and direct. So anyway, I just, hang on. I got to make sure. I know that's the same guy, but that it is Simon Kinberg, and I'm not putting someone else's name through the mud. No, it is Simon Kinberg, singular. Gotcha. But it's that fucking guy. So
apologies to Simon Kinberg. So
yes, who's out there somewhere. Let me just look through.
I didn't do that.
Exactly. And the thing is that I will give him credit. He wrote. Oh wait, no. He only wrote bad movies.
No.
I was going to give him credit for First Class and Logan and all this. No, he became a producer on all the X-Men movies. He wrote X3. He wrote Apocalypse. He wrote Dark Phoenix. Oh, he co-wrote Days of Future Past, so I'll give him the co-writer as being good. He solo wrote the worst ones, and you gave him Here's why. This is a side tangent, okay? This gets me, right? There is a real trend in Hollywood where if you happen to be on a movie that won an Oscar, no matter how tangential you are a part of that, you are going to work forever, okay? He got an Oscar for, he was nominated. He was nominated for working on The Martian as a producer. And I'm pretty sure that has just ensured his employment in terrible movies afterward.
Wow.
Anyway, sorry. I could go all day on some of these people who just keep getting chance after chance after chance.
Yes.
But there's all the films. I genuinely think, credit to the co-writer, credit to a sex pervert, Bryan Singer. I kid. It's tough for me to talk about some of these early X-Men movies because Bryan Singer is a terrible person who's done terrible things. But if we're going to take the movies out, I talk about separating art from artist. I have had trouble revisiting some of these because I think about, how do I say this? He's a bad person who did bad things. And I separate, why can I go back to some of these X-Men movies? Because not all of them were shepherded by him. Because a lot of the good things were decisions that were done in spite of him. You see interviews talking about how Bryan Singer told Hugh Jackman not to read a single comic book, and then Kevin Feige slipped Hugh Jackman a stack of X-Men movies to inform, or X-Men comics to inform his performance.
Yep.
The best stuff in these were done in spite of Bryan Singer, is the way I look at it. He didn't want costumes. He didn't want silliness. Other producers stepped in and did it. Why can I do that? Because I think these thrived in spite of him, while Harry Potter is inexorably linked to J.K. Rowling. Does that make sense? Why I can differentiate that? I hope that makes sense to you in your brain. If I'm a bad person, I apologize.
I don't think it's a bad person thing. It's just how you're evaluating it, right? Like, so different people take on their thoughts on the media depending on certain things. You have that's part of your process of evaluating it, which
he is tied into 5 of these 14 movies. And so that can be difficult because he was there for the early ones. But I think that they evolved past, they found great things, et cetera, et cetera. However, don't worry, he's not my MVP. We'll get there. But my best film in the franchise, I think, is Days of Future Past, because it blends every aspect of what the First Class universe was. It blends every aspect of what the original X-Men movies were. It tells one of the very, very, very few actually comics accurate stories in this entire 14-film franchise. And I think despite blending two different franchises, I think it can exist in a void. I think it can be watched as its own thing of a story of something bad happened in the future. We need to fix it in the past. Here's a bunch of characters. It puts Wolverine first in a story where he wasn't always first, but was prevalent. And I say that, and I'll tie it in now because Hugh Jackman, who else could it be, is my franchise MVP for the X-Men, Wolverine. You could maybe make an argument for Patrick Stewart, maybe an argument for Ian McKellen, because they come back in other ones, but it's always going to be Hugh Jackman. There's a reason they make jokes about him doing until he's 90. There's a reason they're driving up dump trucks of money for the MCU. These movies came together because of Hugh Jackman. But he does a genuinely fantastic performance in Days of Future Past, which after his somewhat reduced role in X3, I say reduced, he was a lead, but it was a bad movie. Origins was terrible. He cameoed in First Class. The Wolverine seemed like he was off doing his own thing. I didn't realize, because it was in an era of 2014 was the internet, but it was an era before I think I saw every single trailer all the time still on the internet. I didn't realize Hugh Jackman was going to be the lead of Days of Future Past. So it was almost a pleasant surprise to have Wolverine back in a Team X-Men movie. We had gotten to a point where I thought Wolverine was going to exist in his own world as a franchise thing, right? Oh, this is an X-Men movie with Wolverine again. It's a great story. I'm like, oh, this is everything I wanted right now. And that's why it's my best one. And then what can you say about Hugh Jackman? In theory, the casting's terrible. He doesn't look like Wolverine. He doesn't fit the mold for Wolverine. But that charisma, that attitude, that energy, I can't add anything to Wolverine that we haven't frankly already talked about in an episode we put out 10 months ago where we recast the X-Men. We talked about the way these characters worked. We talked about what hit. We talked about Hugh Jackman then. And then we hit my recast, and I'm actually just pulling one right from that episode. If you want a full episode of Randy and I recasting the X-Men with our own choices, going back and forth, arguments, praise, 10 months ago, we fan casted a new X-Men movie. Go to that, find that episode. But the one I'm picking for this is actually one of yours from that episode. So I really did dial in. What?
I don't remember this, I'll be honest. So
I'm dialing into
I'll back and listen to it.
I'm dialing into Daniel Craig as Xavier. You stick him in a bald cap or you shave his head. That was your choice for Xavier versus mine as Stanley Tucci. But I, at first, was, that's dumb, he's too stoic, blah, blah, blah. Then he stopped being Bond. And, you know, he started showing his acting range. And I thought, no, I'd do that. Maybe he's a little too handsome for Xavier, but he's got the gravitas and the range, and I think he'd be really good. And I would take your choice that you don't remember of Daniel Craig as being Professor Xavier.
Tremendous.
Great job, that you don't recall. But also, I would like, no, I really liked that episode we did of fan casting the X-Men. I think it's one of our better episodes, and it was like our third or fourth we did in the video format. So you can find it here, Spotify video, YouTube. I really liked that episode. Go find it if you're hearing this.
Doubt. So did you have any trouble when picking your best? Like, was it pretty much, was that a clear?
Oh, and I didn't hit you with the worst. I had more trouble with the worst.
Oh, yes.
My best was either going to be, you would think Logan, but Logan, while being in the X-Men world, is an anomaly. It is got to live on an island a little bit.
Yeah.
Even if Deadpool and Wolverine tied it in, if I'm looking at a pure X-Men movie, it was either going to be Origins, X2, or First Class. Those are the three best X-Men team movies. And that's why I went Days of Future Past, because it blends, of the three, you get one from each and this middle one.
Sure.
And that's why I went with this middle one. So, but worst, I had more trouble with, because there's some bad fucking movies in this franchise.
Yeah.
And I couldn't decide. I realized I didn't pick one. I have two written here, and I never picked one. It's either going to be X-Men Origins Wolverine or Dark Phoenix. And wow, they're both bad for their own reasons. But let's go with the classic answer. because more people saw it and were upset with Origins Wolverine because it was coming off the highs of the franchise, regardless of what you saw of X3, which made bank. And everyone saw this movie and thought, this is fucking awful and we hate you. Dark Phoenix was bad, but it was less eyeballs because Disney had bought it. They're farting out the film. Let's get it out the door. We're ready to start over. So I'll give the hat to Origins Wolverine being the worst one.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, I think it also...
CGI claws, when you didn't need CGI claws in that mirror scene where he holds up his hands and looks at his claws. Literally, I have plastic props I could have held up and looked at that looked better than these weird CGI claws they tried to do. It's insane.
Yeah.
And then just a bad film plot-wise, yeah.
Well, and I think X3 being as bad as it was didn't help, right?
Right.
So expectations of it's going to bounce back, and then it was that bad. It's just like, ugh.
I looked at this. You had 2003 was X2, which is, for a long time, the pinnacle of a superhero film. Before MCU, it was maybe the pinnacle of a superhero film. No, sorry, before the Batman movies started over, it was pinnacle of a superhero film.
Yeah.
Because you get Dark Knight and all that. But that's a solid 5-6 year run still. You have X3 in 2006. And then you have, what year did Origins come out? I got to confirm. Came out in 2009. And then First Class was 2011. And First Class was great. But that means we went 8 years between good X-Men movies.
Oof.
And you felt every second of it. Because it was 2003, then 6, then 9, then 11. And 6 and 9 were fucking awful.
There was a collective exhalation of relief around everywhere when that came out. I remember because it was like, finally.
It was great that they brought Hugh Jackman in to cameo to show we could connect these. It could still be Hugh Jackman. Because there was a lot of thought of, did we fully reboot, right? There was a gray area as is First Class a reboot until we saw that Wolverine cameo. And I went, okay, got it. But that's my 2000s. And let's do 2010s. Same deal. I'll hit you with mine, you hit yours, and we'll do awards.
Sure.
So mine is tough, and I worry you're going to argue my point. I really worry. I wrote 2 paragraphs that I'm going to read verbatim here, okay? This isn't off the cuff. I wrote all of this.
Yeah.
So Hunger Games could logically be a contender, but I never really liked those movies.
Okay.
I feel like the answer should be John Wick, but I've never seen a John Wick movie. I bet they're good. I hear they're great.
I've only seen one of them, weirdly enough. So
there's like 4 or 5 now. There's a franchise of it. There's spin-offs. There's TV shows.
I feel like I'm getting that same thing. You talk about like when you want to start a new show, and there's 6 seasons of it. Now I'm like,
I
gotta buy there's 5 of these. I don't know.
I'm not ready to start John Wick. Even though this franchise started, I wasn't trying to look at this because this franchise started in the 2000s, but it came into its own, and I actually think defined the decade. Fast and the Furious was the 2010s, and I truly think Fast and the Furious movies helped to define the 2010s and not the 2000s.
Okay.
They went off the rails. They got huge, but I don't really like those. I detest those movies.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm talking through this.
Yes.
The Star Wars sequel trilogy, but we can't pick the 70s. Also, those movies are fucking bad. So I'm looking here, and I'm like, what do I do for the 2010s? And I'm going to read this out. Let me get through this whole paragraph before you interject, I beg. I know I'm not good at this, so you can tell me to shut up. But let me get through. I'll let you know. You'll know when I'm done with this part.
Yep.
I know we had Iron Man and Hulk in 2008, but let's be real. The MCU, 2010 was Iron Man 2. The third movie in what is now a 37-film franchise came out in 2010. This came into its own, defined a decade. The peak of the MCU, the people say, I think I've fallen off, happened in 2019. That was 5 to 6 years ago. We've been talking about the fall off from the peak of the MCU, which was 2019. If I look at the 2010s, I gotta say it's Marvel and the MCU. And if I can't say it's Marvel, I abstain. I can't pick something.
For the sake of our discussion, I'm okay with that because
You literally had 2 movies in 2008, and everything else came out 2010 after.
And it was like the culmination, right? Because
Yeah.
Avengers was 11 or
Avengers was 2012.
12. Okay.
And I thought about
that's
saying
early.
just the Avengers if I had to too.
Yeah, then that's early on in the 2010s, and then we get through to no, I'm fine with this. What the Ed Norton Hulk is that?
That was 2008.
Okay, that's one of them. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Iron Man and Hulk came out in 2008. They filmed those around the same time. That's
Okay.
why Robert Downey Jr. did the cameo in Incredible Hulk. They
Got
didn't put out a movie in 9. 2010 was Iron Man 2. 11 was
Okay.
Thor. Captain America was 11.
I
Avengers in
think
12, off and running.
I think that's enough. That if it was 7 or 8 movies had come out in the aughts,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we're having a different discussion. But if you're talking, like you said, 35 of the 37, come on.
Exactly. Exactly. And with a gap year and the one other year in the aughts, 9 had
Right.
nothing.
Exactly.
So it's, to me, I was staring at this and I was trying to play within the rules we talked about. And I'm like,
Yep.
I can't. I just can't. So, but that being said, what is your franchise? I'll dial back to my massive Marvel after.
Yes, because that'll be a little bit of discussion. My discussion may be a little bit less,
Honestly,
and I don't
it's
even
not
know
as much
how much
as
of
you
this.
think. We've talked Marvel
Okay.
to death. I'm
That's
probably
true.
just going to hit points we've already talked about.
Yep.
But please.
And mine is more. And we've talked about it. I have a 13-year-old son, so just a lot of things that I've watched throughout that decade was a lot of kids movies and animation, and so I'm going to go with the Despicable Me franchise at that point. So
That was on my short list. It was on
Yep.
my short list as a best next option. But yeah.
And it was kind of the same thing where I'd only seen one John Wick. Fast and the Furious was kind of like, I enjoyed the first couple, but like I hadn't got that far into the other ones. Same deal with Hunger Games. Yes, I saw them. I'm not that enamored in them. And so Despicable Me was the first one where I'm like, I can actually not only speak to all these movies, I enjoyed a good portion of them and go a little more in depth on them. So that's where I decided to go with. So I'm going with Despicable Me.
I've only seen the ones that came out in the 2010s. I never saw 4, and I haven't seen the Minions sequel. So I've only seen 1, 2, and 3, which I liked a lot. And I saw clips of Minions. I didn't really care. Minions felt more little kiddie, I think. Was 4 good? I never saw 4.
We'll get to it. So.
Oh boy. Well, I'm going to take a stab. So go ahead and hit me with your best film. Then.
Okay, yeah, it's the best one is the first one. That's how I guess we're doing that again.
Good.
So, it's not only did like Illumination, this is one of their first forays, right? Like into animation.
I think you are correct. You keep talking, I'll look it up.
And it just looked a little different, but it still looked really, really good and sharp. And so I think that's what
you were correct.
Made it really
First
interesting.
film by Illumination. Yep.
And so you're seeing something again. This is sort of Toy Story Redux, right? Like where it's just a little different looking type of animation, and whether it was the vibrance or something, and then just a very, very inspired Pharrell Williams bringing in for everything to track it to just add to anything he brought into this, because I know Happy was everywhere. I think I start with the best in this series is the originator. It's the first one, Despicable Me 1. We get to see how much Gru changes in that time frame, because he's brought about by, he starts off being the completely evil villain leader of his whole group, but when these girls are brought into his world, we see the change. We see all the things that are making him a little bit different. And so it really, it's more of a fleshed out story, a more full story to see him go from one to another. And then in addition to that, I mean, picking Pharrell Williams to score this whole thing is just really inspired, because he picks, I mean, that's where Happy came into the landscape of everything. And there were a couple other songs that were from there that were just huge and everywhere. And even despite beyond the songs, there's just a lot of fun little scatting, bebopping kind of things that go in between that score the whole movie, that are just these little things that serve as background noise, which is really, really cool. So I think that's the best one for me, by and large. And it's really just because it introduced everything here. Like we said before, a lot of these franchises, the first one tends to be the best one, and I think that's the case here. But
I think it's the only one where Gru has a real true arc. And I think, me personally, I think I also like 3 a lot for that reason. Because with his brother, it's more of an arc for him. So like when he has something to do emotionally, these movies are better as opposed to a couple of the other ones, which aren't as great.
And it's the same kind of villain that seems to work there, right? Like it's the villain that Jason Segel plays is not that far off from the villain that it's Trey Parker, right?
I don't remember.
Yeah, the 80s guy. So, but they're both kind of hyperactive, like nerdy, robotic geniuses kind of thing, and so and it works for both. And I
forgot that was Trey Parker. I forgot he did a voice in anything other than South Park ever. Yeah.
With all the bubble gum and stuff.
That really
like
just broke my brain. I was like, Trey Parker? That was Trey Parker? Oh my God, it was Trey Parker.
I think, right? It was him, right?
No, it was. It 100% was. I just forgot that entirely.
Yep.
Sorry,
and
continue.
I always hesitate when I say his name because I'm like, is it Trey Stone? Is it Matt Parker? Is it? But it's so, and then I would say the worst in the franchises is Despicable Me 4. It's, I don't know if you've seen it, but
no, I'd say that's the one I haven't seen.
Yeah, Will Ferrell comes in as a sort of he's a bad guy that is working. He has like robotic he's like a hybrid cockroach, so it's kind of gross. But like, so he has and then he's trying to take Gru's child away from him. So Gru has a young son.
Dear God.
Yeah,
I didn't think that.
It had been a minute. I think that was it, right? So
it made almost $1 billion on a $100 million budget. Dear Lord, I didn't realize it did that well. Sorry, I cut you off, but my God.
It's but in terms of movies, I think, and like I said, they have Will Ferrell do it. So, and I think they thought that would be the biggest thing. And other than really the Lego Movie, I don't love Will Ferrell as a voice in certain things. It's a little bit too much. So
he's only himself. He can't actually act outside of just being Will Ferrell.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit, people went to go see it and people were excited to go see it again, I guess. But I put it at the low mark just because there wasn't a lot else for them to do with it. And it's kind of similar to how I said, honestly, Toy Story 4, similar idea, right? Like there just wasn't a lot to do. And so it went further in there. In terms of the MVP, I just think they're, kind of a through point throughout the whole thing. I'm going to put the Minions in here. I think they have the, for whatever people think they're annoying. People think they're stupid. I mean, that's kind of the point, but they generate a lot of really good laughs.
Why did old women on Facebook decide to make them memes for everything that don't make sense with a minion? Like with a minion holding up a thing like Friday wine time with a minion. Like, what the fuck how did the minion get co-opted by boomers?
Seriously. So it's, I mean, all the more reason that showcasing that it's the MVP because it's permeated everything. But I think we like nonsensical things that are cute and amusingly enough. So
they are adorable. They are adorable. You're not wrong.
They are. So, and I will wrap mine up by saying my recasting, and just because I have this. It's more him getting frustrated at the girls or him yelling at the minions, and I just think it's a different tone, but still kind of funny to me because it would seem so volatile, but in the sense of the animation, it would work. I'm going to recast Jack Nicholson as Gru.
Listen up, you motherfuckers. I don't really think that you're going to have to. I'm a supervillain.
If this is live action, I think it would be sort of terrifying just because of, but I think if you're putting the animation with it, with that voice, I think it makes it even more silly and ludicrous, and I think it would be a lot of fun.
That. Yeah, I can see that. It'd be a lot of fun. And is this because we're doing time and space, this is height of his powers, Jack Nicholson, not like current Jack Nicholson?
Yeah, this is, again, Few Good Men.
Oh, I see you said that. I'm
sorry. This is the
Joker.
No, I said A Few Good Men for Kiefer Sutherland. So like,
okay.
yeah, that's where. But so I'm just taking everyone from A Few Good
You
Men.
just want to
apparently,
take
in
that
91.
cast and remake movies with that cast, which is a great cast. It's a great
movie,
cast.
so.
Let's not deny that. All right, cool. In that case, you want me to hit mine real quick?
Marvel it up, baby.
We've talked MCU to death, right? It's. I don't have a lot to say here. I don't want to go back and forth on all these, but I will say that the best is so subjective in a franchise like this that is not a through-line franchise with genres and heroes. It is such a subjective thing to taste and mood and perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, taken on a whole, that The Winter Soldier is the best single movie in terms of entertainment value and both quality of film. Like, Infinity War is maybe my favorite to comfort watch because I know all the characters and it's fun and it's fast-paced and it's magnificently well done. But that movie can't exist in a void. That cannot exist in a void. You had no idea what the fuck's going on. Winter Soldier is both fucking fun, breezy, deep, but taken as a whole, a well-made movie. So I give Winter Soldier. The worst movie, unfortunately, post-Endgame, there have been, pre-Endgame, you could have easily just said, oh, it's probably Incredible Hulk or Iron Man 2. Post-Endgame, it becomes, unfortunately, a bigger, wider discussion. I was looking at 3 movies. I was going between Eternals, Ant-Man and Quantumania, and The Marvels. And I finally settled on Eternals because it seems the most inconsequential, it's boring, and it has, just the least ties to anything else while being overstuffed, bloated, black. So I definitely went Eternals.
There are many instances where Marvel got it right of, teams that come together to work on things. So, it's even if, obviously Guardians of the Galaxy and I'm blanking on it, the new Avengers,
Thunderbolts. Yeah.
Which was fun. Like it wasn't, it wasn't the best movie by far, but it was fun, like
it's better than Eternals.
Yeah, exactly. And boy, it's Eternals slogs. It's
so self-serious. Even the funny parts are not like. Also, poor Kumail Nanjiani. Like he gets buffed for no reason in a bad movie. They don't even have him take his shirt off. And then you've seen his interviews over the last couple of years. There have been really interesting clips of like the failure of Eternals destroyed his mental health as like a professional actor. And he started he's like, I'm good now, but like Eternals literally drove me to therapy. And I'm like, oh boy, like the failure and like the hype. I'm going to be in a Marvel movie. It's going to be everything.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I'm in the worst one. He was like, I can't, what is this? And he was like, my self-worth was too wrapped up in this movie doing well. And I'm like, man, Eternals sucks. It's not broken. And then MVP, I guess if you wanted to go behind the scenes, you could say Kevin Feige, but if you're saying on camera, it's literally RDJ, right? It can't be anybody but Robert Downey
I think it has
Jr.
to be, yeah.
If you wanted to push for Kevin Feige, I'd take it. But there's a reason they're driving up 5 dump trucks for him to come back, which I don't want. I don't want him to be back. I don't like what we're about to be doing. I hope it pays off. I hope it's great. I don't want it. But there's a reason they're doing it. It's because he left, and the quality going down isn't because he left, but they see the correlation and they got scared and he's coming back.
Yep.
But
dance with who brought you. So
recasting, no one. Time to digitally force RDJ to act via AI for eternity. No, I'm kidding. But they want to.
They can be everybody. All of the Avengers are Robert Downey Jr. even Black Widow.
We're going to wrap this up. I don't have a good one for this. I do have a troll of an answer. I have a joke answer that I think would be funny. So Liam Hemsworth also auditioned to be Thor, and his brother got it. So I say, let's let him be Thor. Give it to Liam Hemsworth.
Mini Thor.
It's Liam's time. Finally, it's Liam's time. Let's do it. You got to bulk up a little, Liam.
Yeah. I don't
think
have one off the cuff for you, but yeah.
This pretty much wraps up our franchise talk. Honorable mention, we mentioned Aliens, we mentioned Star Wars. Didn't mention from the 60s to today, James Bond. The franchise, the original, in the 40s, you maybe had the monster movies and you had a few war movies that through line, but like, if you think of an enduring franchise that won't die, James Bond. but well outside the scope of what we were talking about today.
And to follow off that, I sat on Austin Powers for half a second in the 90s too, thinking about that.
Oh boy, that would have been an interesting thing. Yeah, but decent 90s answer.
Mhm.
I think that's it for us. I don't have anything else. Any final thoughts? Or you want to hit these plugs and get the fuck out?
I think that's our plan here. So we have
All right.
we have funded up the franchises enough. So
no more franchise fun. Franchise depression. Wait, that doesn't really work. We're just getting the episode. Normal social media plugs.
decade depression.
Oh, dear God. I can't finish the plugs. I've been scared. They came out of nowhere and I'm depressed. Dear Lord. Mike Barcode, MikeBarcode, TikTok, Instagram, all the normal social media places. Find this on YouTube if you're watching on Spotify or listening somewhere. If you're watching on YouTube and you like looking at us, go find us on a podcast provider. Whatever works for you. But, like, review, 5 stars, thumbs up. Anything you do helps us out. We were off for a while. We're trying to get back in the groove of it. So if you could influence the algorithm, it would help us a lot. Because the algorithm woke up and went, what the fuck is this last time, I'm pretty sure. So I actually took down the social media clip on my Instagram because it was doing so badly that I'm like, this is going to tank the rest of my algorithm. I archived it. It was not doing well. I was like, I can't actually have this up derailing the rest of my videos. So next time, if you guys want to engage a little more and you like it, help us out. But for now, we will still doing this because we like it. Even if you're not listening or watching, we still enjoy this. And we will get out of here. And as always, I will toss it over to Randy for the final word.
And for those that are, thanks for listening and watching, and goodbye, everybody.